Salam sejahtera to our lecturer. In this video, we are Group 7 want to present about survey on the usage of internet among of student UTHM. I will introduce the member of my group, that is Nur Asmida Shahira AP 190169, Nur Ain Natasha binti Kamis AP 190214, Alia Nerina binti Azmi AP 190458, Bala Shangri anak perempuan Bala Chandran CP 190087, Nur Anis Misha binti Azmi AP 190488.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Nur Anis Misha binti Azmi and my matric number is AP190488. And I would like to present introduction. So, as we know, the internet is the most important thing for everyone. This is because internet provided unrestricted connection regardless of our location. However, a common problem using internet always happen among students, such as issue of insufficient data, lack of fund to purchase internet, and a slow internet data. So we do a survey, and our first objective is to identify the level of satisfaction internet usage on daily basis among UTHM students. And second, to determine how satisfied UTHM students are with their internet use as well as their satisfaction with traditional learning. This study can choose which is better to reduce the expenses of students.
Hello and hi, my name is Nur Asmida Shahira binti Uda. I would like to present two parts. First part is literature review and second part is methodology. In literature review, we state several keywords which is three keywords, where the first one is internet, second one is internet usage among students, and the third one is student expenses. First, internet. What we know about internet is the internet is indispensable for communication, information exchange and sharing, entertainment, socializing, teaching and learning, and business development. As we know today we're facing the pandemic, so internet is a very important to giving the information, to give to learning and to teaching. So next, internet usage among students. As we know, every things needs internet. Same goes for teaching and learning. So students need the internet, and the using of internet increase starting pandemic start. So internet usage among students is important, and then it has a relationship between student expenses. What is student expenses? Student expenses is what they spend their money in daily life. So as we know, students expend their money for food, transportation, facility, and others. It's same goes for internet. So students also spend their money for internet. Yes, before this they have spend their money for internet, but in this day nowadays they more spend their money for internet. Why? Because to joining the class, to join the program, or to get the information, everything is on internet. Everything is need internet. So student expenses more to internet. So by this several keyword, we get the information from several article that we refer. So our problem is to help student how to manage their money in terms of internet or communication. So next, we move to part methodology. In this part methodology, I will explain 5 points. The first one is methodology has two types of method, which is quantitative and qualitative. For quantitative is the method where we use the survey, online survey, questionnaire, or else. Second one is a qualitative. qualitative is such as a interview. By doing the interview, we getting the data, or information. So, for this study, we use quantitative, which is we create the questionnaire and distribute to respondent. However, our this study we have a targeted respondent. Our targeted respondent is student among student in University Tun Hussein Malaysia, but we has limit our respondent to 30 respondent only. So how we do this study is, first we make a decision tree. We list the decision that student can choose. After we draw the decision tree, we create the questionnaire by that decision tree. So we talk about questionnaire. This questionnaire have 4 sections, which is section A, B, C, and D. For section A, it is for collecting the demography of respondent. Second, section B is about financial management. How much they spend their money, and so on. The next is section C is collecting data about student expenses on mobile data. And the last one is section D. It is collecting data about expenses on Wi-Fi. So by this questionnaire, after we have done create the questionnaire, we distribute this questionnaire to student UTHM, which we go through by WhatsApp group. After we get the data, which is done for 30 respondents, we use statistical package for the social science, which we call as SPSS, to run this data. After run to SPSS, the data will convert to chart, table, and else. After we get the data to the number to the chart or table, this chart and table we will explain more about the data in analysis and discussion. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Analysis and discussion.
One factor, and among them is expenses for internet usage, because nowadays internet usage is one of the most crucial needs due to the pandemic COVID-19 happens now. This is our decision tree problem. We have 2 decisions now, either to buy internet or do not buy the internet. And for the options buying internet, we also have 2 types of decision, either to buy mobile data or Wi-Fi that can cut student expenses. Next is questionnaire analysis. Section A is about respondent profile. Number 1 is gender. From chart, we can see that 19 female respondents and 11 male respondents take part on this survey. Next is age. The highest is recorded as many as 90 respondents are from group age 21 to 23, and the lowest recorded as many as 2 respondents from group age of 18 to 20. Next is race. From chart, we can see that 80 respondent is Malay, 7 respondent is Chinese, and 5 respondent is Indian. Next is faculty. Many faculty has taken part on this survey, and the highest recorded as many as 13 respondents from FPTP, and the lowest recorded as many as 3 respondents only are from FPTV, FKAAB, and FKEE. Next is year of study. The highest recorded as many as 20 students from year 3, and the lowest is recorded only 4 respondents are from year 2. Next is type of student resident. We have 2 types, which is rental house and hostel. From chart, we can see that the highest is recorded as many as 21 respondents are staying at the rental house, and 9 respondents are staying at the hostel now. The last question on this section is type of internet student prefer to use. From chart, we can see that the highest is 16 respondents prefer to use Wi-Fi, and 40 respondents prefer to use mobile data. Section B is about student financial management, where the student get monthly income. From chart, the highest is recorded as many as 24 respondents get monthly income from PTPT and loan, and the lowest is recorded only 1 respondent get monthly income from parents. Section C is about student expenses on mobile data. We set 2 probability that student might expense on internet usage. Okay, for high probability, we set between range 100 ringgit until 200, and for low probability is 100 and below. Okay, question number 1 is about how much that student might expense on mobile data when they are at the rental house. From chart, we can see that as many as 21 respondents choose high expenses and 9 respondents choose low expenses on mobile data. Next, also a same question, but when students are staying at the hostel. As many as 70 respondents choose low expenses and 30 respondents choose high expenses on mobile data when they are at the hostel. This shows that the probability many students might spend less on mobile data because the hostel also provide Wi-Fi connections for students to use. So this is also can help students to minimize their expenses on internet usage.
The next section D is about student expenses on Wi-Fi. There has 2 probability in this data. For high expenses, range around 100 ringgit until 200 ringgit, and lower expenses range around 100 ringgit and below. So, first question in this data is about how much do you think that you will expense on Wi-Fi in a rented house. So, from chart show that 21 respondents choose high expenses and 7 respondents choose lower expenses. Then, question 2 is about how much do you think you will expense on Wi-Fi in the hostel. From chart, we see that many respondents, which is 20, choose lower probability and other choose high probability.
My name is Alia Nirina binti Azmi, and I'm going to explain on calculation part. In this decision tree, the square shape is represented as a decision node. Students have 2 options, buy internet and do not buy internet. For the event node, we represent it with a circle. If the student buy the internet, they need to make another decision immediately, mobile data or Wi-Fi. As we know, there are 2 types of student resident, which is rented house and hostel. In order to help students to make decisions to overcome their financial problem, we need to calculate the higher expenses and lower expenses. If the student choose to not buy internet, they don't need to make another further decision, and they don't need to observe the outcome anymore. Then we calculate the expected value and choose the best decision. Based on the questionnaire in section C and D, the average of higher expenses is 150.50 cents, while the lower expenses is 50 ringgit. The probability of buy mobile data is 0.47. For the student who live in rented house, probability of higher expenses is 0.70, while the lower expenses is 0.30. Then the student who live in the hostel, probability of high expenses is 0.43, while the lower expenses is 0.57. The probability of buy Wi-Fi is 0.53. For the student who live in rented house, probability of high expenses is 0.77, while the lower expenses is 0.23. Then the student who live in hostel, probability of high expenses is 0.33, while the lower expenses is 0.67. After that, we calculate the EMV as shown in the next slide.
Hi, my name is Malay Shankri. Now, I would like to present my part, which is result. Based on the survey on the usage of the internet among UTHM students, we have obtained the data needed to calculate the decision tree problem. The value of the highest expenses that the student will spend for Wi-Fi and mobile data is Rm150 ringgit 50 cents if they are either at rented house or hostel. Meanwhile, the value of the lowest expenses that the student will spend for the mobile data and Wi-Fi is Rm50 ringgit if they are either at rented house or hostel. The probability of student using mobile data is 0.47 and the probability of the student using Wi-Fi is 0.53. 70% of the students feel that the usage of the mobile data at the rented house is the highest expenses. Meanwhile, 56.7% of the students feel that the usage of the mobile data in the hostel is the lowest expensive. The expenses for Wi-Fi at the rented house is said to be higher for 76.7% students and said to be the lower expenses for 66.7% of the students. After that, we calculate the expected monetary value EMV of the expenses of internet usage at the rented house and hostel. Overall, the EMV for mobile data expenses at rental house is Rm 120 ringgit 35 cent. Rm 93 ringgit 22 cent is for mobile data expenses at hostel. Rm 127 ringgit 39 cent for Wi-Fi expenses at rented house. And Rm 83 ringgit 70 cent for the Wi-Fi expenses at hostel. Therefore, the EME of buying mobile data and Wi-Fi is Rm 124 ringgit and 8 cent. Thus, the first decision point is to buy the internet, which is Rm 0 expensive. Students must save their money for unnecessary expenses. The lower the EMV is the beneficial since it reduces the amount of money that students must spend.
In conclusion, from this study, some students believe that using data and staying in the dorm will cut down on student expenses. But after we do calculation, a lower expected monetary value has been discovered to be useful because it minimizes the amount of money that students must spend. So, the first decision is don't buy internet. Then, we do suggestion that might be considered to assist students get fast internet access. First, students must share paying Wi-Fi while staying in a rented house. Second, students must use mobile data that works strategically. Thank you.